Your fear is holding you back from literally everything in your life. Anything that you ever want or desire, you're being held back by your fears and your doubts. I kind of had an epiphany, as I always do when I'm walking. And I get up every morning and I walk around and I walk in silence and I listen to videos. And this morning I was listening to Neville Goddard, and it was basically based around fears and whatever you're going through. And if you have fears of it, you have fear of doing this and doubt, and you're thinking of worst case scenarios and trying to prepare yourself for things that you can't even prepare yourself for. You're just gonna you're blocking your successes. And I realized that so many things in my life I have overcome, and some of the best things in my life that have happened to me are because of things that I was at points in my life where I had no choice but to face my fears and things that were bothering me. And for example, okay, back a few years ago, I had been in a really bad situation. Okay, I was going through a breakup and I was very scared because I was about to lose my business. I was going through a breakup. I was supposed to be going on vacation, and my ex was supposed to be house sitting for me and driving me to the airport 4 hours away. And it was in the winter. I don't like to drive on the highway in the winter. It's pretty dangerous. So, and I was also at the point where I was going to move out and I had to figure out a place to stay, and it was just a whole mess of things. And I was terrified. I was in horrible fight or flight. I was in shock. I didn't know what to do. I was trying to get a new job and just a million different things. So anyways, at one point I just realized that by taking my vacation, it just wasn't feasible at the moment because I had so many other things that I had to prepare for. Being a single mom, I couldn't go on vacation for 2 or 3 weeks. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, so in saying that, I was going to lose a bunch of money from not going on this vacation and blah, blah, blah. I remember talking to my friend / neighbor at the time, and I had told her, this is what's going to happen. I can't go on vacation. I now have to tell my son, who's going to be extremely disappointed and upset because it was a birthday gift to him, but I just didn't know what to do. So anyways, I ended up telling my son. He was very upset and angry, not at me, but just at the situation. But he understood, and whatever, we made peace with it. We were crying. It was a big thing. When I talked to my neighbor about it, I said, this is the situation. And she said to me, I remember I was crying. I remember exactly where I was. I was in my bathtub. I was literally crying in the tub, just devastated. And she texted me and she said, just manifest it. And I was like, are you insane? Don't tell me this bullshit right now, okay? And this was the beginning of my manifestation journey. So anyways, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Try not to be rude, but, and I was like, yeah. So anyways, I remember she sent me, she said, look outside. She said, go get your son to go outside. I left something for you on your bridge. And I was like, okay. So anyways, she dropped me off an ice cream because she knows I love ice cream. So my son brought it. I ate it in the tub. I cried some more. And I thought to myself, you know what? Let go and let God. If I am meant to go on this vacation tomorrow, something will work itself out. And I really put a lot of blind faith in that because I had no way to my city. I had no money. I had to figure out where I was going to live. I had to figure out how I was going to pay the rent for the current place that I was at. I had to figure out a job. I had to figure out how I was going to get back. I had to figure out all these bills. It was just a slew of things. I went to bed. I woke up the next day and I made peace with it. And I said, okay, like, we're not going on this vacation. Let's make the best of the day and whatever. By like, I want to say noon-ish, my neighbor messaged me and she said, if you can be ready in 1 hour, I will literally house sit your house. I will take you and your son all the way to the city, as long as I can drive your car and drive it back. And yeah, I'll do all these things for you. I want you to go on your vacation. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in like utter shock. Like, I can't believe she would offer to do that. And the only thing that was kind of holding me back at the time was I was like, okay, like, this is all working out. But at the same time, I still don't have any money and I still don't have any coming in. So I was thinking to myself, like, I'm really gonna have to like budget money while I'm there. I don't have much to spend. Like, I'll figure out things when I get there, blah, 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 blah. Within minutes, and I'm talking minutes, I have this email pop up from my bank. And it was like, you've been approved. I didn't even apply for anything, mind you. You've been approved for a $15,000 line of credit. I was like, what? There's no way. I was like, I should probably like go down and check this out. I tried to like accept it online and it wouldn't work. So I went down to the bank, and if you know me, I am so antisocial. I hate going to appointments. I hate talking on the phone. I'm socially awkward, okay? So anyways, I go in, I talk to this man and whatever, and I'm like, oh, this is what I got in my email, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh yeah, cool. Like, yeah, we'll approve that for you. And I was like, nice. I was like, how long does this generally take to like get in your bank? And he said, I can have it for you there in an hour. I was like, an hour? Oh my God. Somebody just literally drove in here where I park and come and chat with you guys. So anyways, within an hour, I had $15K in my bank account. And I was like, I said to my son, I was like, literally, go pack everything. We have to leave in minutes. So at the time, I was like, okay, let's go. Like, I made sure like there was food there for my pets and whatever. And I gave my neighbor money and we booked a hotel and we stayed there and I went on my vacation. It was wonderful. And I literally found a place to live. I had all this money. I had everything and it all worked out. Only because I literally just trusted that if it were gonna work out, it would. On this time, I literally got a new job. I found my dream place. For an amazing price. I got all this money. Like, everything worked out. It was wild. And I think if I didn't do all these things that like scared me, because I was terrified, it wouldn't have worked out. I think that you have to just like truly trust that things, whatever's meant for you will be for you. And you just have to be like open to answering the door when somebody's knocking, right? I could have totally denied my neighbor and been like, no, I don't want you to do that or whatever. Like, thank you for the offer. But I was like, no, I said last night, what's meant to be will be. I have literally put this mentality into everything that I do. What's meant to happen will happen. I let go. I practice the law of detachment. And I also try to put myself out there to do things that scare me. Because when you do things that scare you, there's a reason it scares you. Okay? And when you're putting your life on hold because of fear and doubt, and then getting upset that things aren't working out the way that you want them to, what you're not changing, you're choosing, is something else that I've recognized lately. So And by like continuously choosing the same thing and not making a change, what do you expect is going to happen? Right? I'm telling you, everything that I have done, and I'm waking up every day in a good mood. A lot of the times when I go on my walks, okay, I go on my walks and something will happen, like just small stupid stuff, like my feet will hurt, one of my feet start to hurt, or I'll get like a cramp in my hip, or I don't know, I'll be extremely thirsty or something. And I think to myself at the moment, turn around and go home, give up, whatever. It happens for like a split second, and then I tell myself, no, keep going, this will pass. And it does. Every single time it does. When I used to walk in the beginning, I used to be so scared. I used to be scared to walk because I'm like, what if somebody sees me? What if somebody comes and kidnaps me? What if as I walk in the mornings, it's usually like when all these men are standing out at the bus stops to go out to sight. And I used to cross the road to avoid even like walking past them. Because I'd be like, oh my God, what if I'm like, as I'm walking? Now I just don't care. I'm like, if you think that I'm just like huffing and puffing, like, mind your business. I don't care. And because of it, I've built up so much strength and stamina from, putting it into patterns. And I walk with my head up. Before I would kind of like cover my face, and then I start thinking to myself, why do I care what some random person standing at a bus stop thinks about me walking in the morning? How does their opinion affect my life? The only way it's going to affect my life is if I choose to let their opinions affect my life, and then I don't go for walks because of it. And then my health suffers. And I'm not going at it. I'm really not. I don't really care what other people think. I'm kind of just like putting myself out there in every way and just kind of winging it. And I think that you should just wing it and not let these fears and doubts ruin your life. I am 35 years old, and I have let so many things ruin things for me because I doubted myself and my capabilities, and just told myself that like I'm a lesser form of human than somebody else who deserves something more. I don't know where I adopted this mentality, but I've had it my whole life. I just feel like everybody is better than me in every single way. But the weirdest part about it is I don't think that anybody is better than anybody else either. Like, I don't look at other people like that. I just have always looked at myself like that. Very weird. I'm working on it. And I'm really just trying to build myself, build my confidence, build my self-esteem. And doing things that scare me is truly helping that. As I sit here and talk to my phone in front of a bunch of people, I really don't care what anybody thinks. Think it. Let them. The only people's opinions that matter about me are mine. And I'm trying to change those opinions to positive ones. And I care what my children think about me. And my children love me. And in order to see myself through their eyes, I don't want them to adopt this generational trauma that I have and think that they're less than or not worthy of what everybody else is. I have spoken so much love into my children their whole lives. And now I have to speak it into myself. I don't need to doubt myself. You don't need to doubt yourself. Living in fear of what can happen is just going to prolong your life so much. Because ultimately, anything could happen. I could drive down the road right now after I leave here and get in a freaking car accident and die. And here I am worrying about what some stranger thinks about me as I walk by in the street. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna let people hold me back in life because I care what the opinions of others are? No, I'm not doing it. I don't care what anybody thinks. Because at the same time, you know, there's always going to be people that hate your guts. This is something I teach my kids when they've dealt with bullies in the past, okay? But there's also always going to be people that just love you. And I think we need to celebrate just the ones that love us and pay no attention to the ones that hate us. Because people that hate us, really, it's more of a reflection on them. One thing I've noticed has been a huge pattern in my life has been with making friends. I have a hard time making friends because people always tell me that they love who I am as a person, and that I'm kind, and that I'm generous, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. I do things to help people and treat them good and whatnot. But I think that makes me become an easy target, because it's almost like people will get what they can from me and then stab me in the back later, which has been a pretty constant pattern in my life. And because of it, I'm very closed-minded to creating friendships or getting close to people, because I'm afraid of being screwed over, basically. But being afraid of being screwed over has made some lonely times. Because how do you have any friendships with anybody if you just shut yourself off from the world? It's very hard. It's very hard. You're afraid of jealousy, but yet, you don't put yourself out there to create beautiful friendships and long-lasting, lifelong friendships. You'd just rather be alone than, figure out what could be good. These have been huge. I have a lot of trust issues. These have been huge patterns in my life. I have trust issues with men. I have trust issues with people in general. I like to stay in my own lane. I like to mind my own business. I treat people how I want to be treated. I guess I'm just afraid to let people in. And I want to change that, because I do want some genuine friendships. Because in my future, I see a lot of things involving the company of other people. I see travel. I see backyard fires. I see camping and hanging out, and I would love to do that stuff with other people. I don't have anybody right now to do that stuff with, because I'm so closed off, because I have fear and I have doubt in people, and maybe a little bit of doubt in my ability to choose sensible people, right? If you're closed off, you'll never get to where you want to be. If you're closed off and you have fear and doubt, maybe you'll let a little bit of that down, but the universe is going to be let's throw this in here to see if you're still stupid, to see if you still have the same patterns. Let's throw a narcissist in there, just so that you can get right back to familiarity, right? Send you right back into where your nervous system wants you to be. Scared. because that's normal. A familiar hell is better than an unfamiliar heaven, or however that saying goes. If I didn't take a chance, I wouldn't have had so many good things in my life. If I didn't take I'll get emotional even like talking about it. If I didn't even take the chance to even have my first son, I was pregnant at 16. I was scared to death. To this day, he's the best first thing that ever happened to me. I have no regrets. And I knew he was going to be an amazing kid. Now he's an amazing adult. You know, I'm freaking so proud of him. He's got a good head on his shoulders. Every day we talk after he comes home from work, and we just sit there and chat. And I love our relationship. You know, if I didn't take the chance, I was terrified to drive my whole life. I didn't even go and get my beginners until I was 25. And I didn't get my actual driver's license until I was 28. I was so scared. Now here I am in my own car, driving around. I still don't love to drive, but I do it when I need to. You know, if I didn't take the chance, I wouldn't have met my husband. I wouldn't have had my children. Wouldn't have went to school. Wouldn't have had a career. Wouldn't have had a business. Wouldn't be on here. What's important to me, you know, what I want to leave behind is being myself, being genuine, not following, you know, the norms of society, and just being who I am, making videos like this. And if it reaches nobody, I'm cool with that. Besides my children, I want to leave something behind for my family, so that, because I know what it feels like to have nothing but pictures and videos left. Memories are always with you, but sometimes it's nice to look back on things. And my why is always my kids. And I want them to look back one day and remember my words, even though, you know, I lecture them about things all the time. We have these big, long, deep conversations, and they're just like, are you done? Maybe I always tell them, when I'm dead and gone one day, you'll miss these annoying conversations. You know? And I want to leave this behind, maybe in hopes of helping somebody with my words better themselves, and, you know, keep going towards their goals, or keep fixing their mental health, or, you know, just keep going. Because ultimately, I have been through the worst of the worst. You name it, I've been through it. And I sit here with a smile on my face, with kindness in my heart, and know that I've done the best that I can. I keep going and striving to do better. I keep trying to help people. And that's essentially all I want to do. If I can help somebody with my words to feel better and to keep going, mission accomplished. Me doing this on my spare time is free. But my advice one day could be completely priceless to somebody. And how I find, you know, bettering somebody is being relatable. If I can relate with my own stories to somebody and help them keep going, that's all I want. Maybe one day, you know, my family can look back, and people are always asking me for advice on how to do things and how to navigate life and how to read people and why things are the way that they are, and a positive perspective. I want something to be more permanent so people can keep looking back, keep going. If just one person, mission accomplished. That's all. Thanks for listening.